There comes a moment in every human life when the world goes quiet, not because the noise has stopped, but because something deeper begins to speak, a voice buried beneath years of doubt, fear, hesitation, and the expectations of other people. A voice that has waited patiently for the day you finally realize that the greatest battle you will ever fight is not against circumstances, not against limitations, and not against anyone who ever doubted you. Your greatest battle is against your own mind. There comes a moment when the world doesn't go quiet. You do, and in that silence one truth rises. Either you master your mind, or you spend the rest of your life a slave to your fears. This is the truth Napoleon Hill tried to carve into the world more than a century ago. You either master your mind, or you remain a slave to your fears. Every dream that ever died, every goal that was abandoned, every destiny that was never lived, was lost in the battlefield of thought long before it was lost in the battlefield of life. Think about it. Edison didn't invent the light bulb because he had better resources. He had better thinking. Carnegie didn't build an empire because the world handed him opportunity. He built an empire because he built a mindset that refused to surrender. Henry Ford wasn't the first to dream of the automobile. He was simply the first to believe it with such intensity that doubt couldn't survive near him. And Walt Disney, bankrupt, rejected, mocked, didn't create magic because he had money. He created magic because he saw worlds inside his imagination long before the world saw them outside. All greatness begins in the mind. All tragedy also begins in the mind. That is the unseen law that shapes destinies quietly, relentlessly, without mercy. And until you accept this truth, your life will be shaped not by your dreams but by your fears. Fear is not loud, it's subtle, it whispers, it suggests, it sneaks into the cracks of your confidence and builds a home there. Fear tells you you're not ready. It tells you you're not enough. It tells you, what if you fail? What if you look foolish? What if everything goes wrong? And the moment you believe those questions, fear wins, because fear doesn't need to chain your hands. Fear only needs to chain your thoughts. Every day you wake up with two voices inside you. One voice pushes you toward purpose, progress, discipline, and greatness. The other voice pulls you toward comfort, distraction, excuses, and stagnation. One voice demands courage. The other voice demands nothing, just that you stay exactly where you are. The most dangerous prison in the world has no bars. It is the prison built from your own beliefs. You must decide right now which voice will rule your life, because the world will not wait for you, time will not wait for you, opportunity will not wait for you. Life is moving with or without your permission, and the question that matters is simple. Are you moving with it, or are you frozen by the same fears you've carried for years? Every successful person you admire had fears. Every giant you study had doubts. Every legend you quote had nights where they couldn't sleep because of uncertainty. But they learned something powerful. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is the decision that something else matters more than fear. Your mind is the architect of your destiny, but fear is the thief that tries to rewrite the blueprint. Fear convinces you that the safe path is the smart path. Fear convinces you that waiting is wisdom. Fear convinces you that staying small is staying protected, but nothing great was ever built from safety. Nothing legendary was ever born from comfort. If you want a life that feels alive, if you want a destiny that shakes the ground beneath your feet, if you want to become the kind of person whose very presence inspires others, you must learn to command your thoughts the same way a leader commands an army. Your beliefs shape your standards shape your habits shape your future, and your future shapes the person you become. Everything begins with thought. Everything dies with thought. That is why the greatest wealth you will ever possess is not money, resources, connections, or talent. It is the ability to control the direction of your mind. When you learn to direct your thoughts, you become the master of your fate. When you fail to direct your thoughts, you become a servant to your fears. And the world is full of people who could have been extraordinary, but chose the comfort of fear over the discipline of power. You must choose, Because the moment you make the decision to rise above fear, a new world begins to reveal itself, one that was always there, but hidden behind the fog of doubt. The people who achieve greatness are not the ones with perfect circumstances. They're the ones who develop the inner vision to see beyond the fog. They walk through the uncertainty, through the noise, through the chaos, because something inside them refuses to let fear have the final word. Your mind is not your enemy. It is a powerful instrument, capable of creating the future you desire or destroying it before it ever begins. Thought is the original force. Hill called it the starting point of all achievement. And until you understand this, you will continue to fight battles in the external world while losing the war inside your own head. The world bends for a person who has mastered their mind. You've seen it. You've felt it. There are people who walk into a room with no arrogance, no noise, yet their presence is undeniable. They carry a quiet power born from inner certainty. They are not controlled by fear, because they have already faced themselves. This is what mastering your mind looks like. The ability to direct your attention, discipline your emotions, hold your vision steady, and command your actions in the presence of fear, not the absence of it. Fear will still be there, but it will no longer lead your life. Look back at history. Look at Lincoln, a man who faced defeat after defeat, business failures, political losses, personal tragedy, but his mind was trained in resilience. He saw beyond temporary circumstances, beyond pain, beyond judgment. He realized that the human spirit grows not from victory but from the fire of persistence, and that is why he rose. Not because life made it easy, but because he refused to let fear decide who he would be. That is the decision every great person makes consciously or unconsciously. They choose identity over insecurity, vision over fear, purpose over comfort. Your life will not change the day you read the perfect book, meet the right person, stumble into the right opportunity, or hear the perfect speech. Your life will change the moment you decide that the voice inside your mind will no longer be your oppressor. It will be your greatest ally, and to do that you need clarity. Not the kind of clarity that falls from the sky, but the clarity you carve out by asking yourself the questions most people avoid. What do I want? Who must I become to achieve it? What habits must I kill? What fears must I confront? What excuses have I protected for too long? When you ask these questions honestly, your mind stops fighting you and starts serving you. It begins to prioritize growth over comfort, action over hesitation, purpose over distraction. Clarity destroys fear. Direction dissolves doubt. Vision eliminates hesitation. This is why people wander aimlessly through life, because their thoughts wander aimlessly through their mind. They have no inner order, no structured purpose, no defined identity, and a mind without direction becomes a breeding ground for fear. But when you know what you want, deeply, powerfully, unquestionably, fear loses its grip. You stop asking, what if I fail? And you start asking, what must I do next? You stop worrying about people's opinions and start crafting your destiny. You stop living small and begin stepping into the magnitude you were designed for. You must build an inner world so strong that the outer world cannot shake it. That inner world begins with belief, not a fragile belief that collapses under pressure, but a belief forged in discipline and repeated action. Belief is not something you wait for. Belief is something you build, one disciplined choice at a time, one courageous step at a time, one decisive moment at a time. You build belief by doing the thing fear told you not to do. When Henry Ford was told his ideas were impossible, he didn't listen, because his belief was louder than their laughter. When Disney was told he lacked imagination, he didn't quit, because his vision was louder than their rejection. When Edison was told he failed 1,000 times, he didn't stop, because his purpose was louder than their criticism. This is what mastery looks like, choosing the voice of purpose over the voice of fear, again and again, until your mind bends to your command. And once your mind begins to obey you, the rest of your life starts to transform. Your habits shift, your standards rise, your ambition awakens. You stop negotiating with your goals. You stop shrinking around people who think small. You stop living in the shadow of your own doubts. You begin to feel a power inside you, steady, quiet, unshakable, a power that does not shout, but simply knows.